Welcome back to the Shankly Sessions, your weekly dose of all things Liverpool FC, the mighty Reds. Joining me as always, my partner on the cop, Dean Fitz. How we doing, Dean?
Couldn't be better, Niall.
Okay.
7 days and counting.
7 days to go, basically. Yeah, caught you had a good time there, face full of egg, yeah?
Not wrong with you, boiled eggs, you know what I mean? Got to keep them guns now.
Awesome. Well, for anyone who hasn't viewed our videos of the Shankly Sessions before, just to let you know, we get into news, player watch, transfers, anything related to Liverpool FC. So let's get into this week. As always, Dynamo Podcast Network on YouTube for the videos, audio versions of the show through Spotify, Podbean, iTunes. And if you'd like to contact the show, at Sessions Shankly on Twitter and also on Instagram and Facebook, the upper tier, I should say.
And Pornhub.
Yeah, and Pornhub, yeah. Let's get into the news. Obviously, Liverpool, they release news on all the ticket releases and stuff like that back there on the 5th of August. So all the information is up there on the site. Shouldn't be a problem. It's all scheduled based on how many days you were attending, the way they normally tier it, or games that you did attend. 2 60-minute friendlies against Bologna. I'm not really sure what to read into these.
Not much.
I looked at Diogo Jota just ghost into the box and literally walk by 2 players and score a goal. And I was thinking, like a week out from the Premier League or 10 days out from the Premier League starting, does this really give you anything at the end of the day?
Absolutely nothing. I was in work, so I didn't get a chance to watch them live. So I watched extended highlights, and the 2 goals in the first 16-minute game. If you've seen that in the Phoenix Park on a Sunday morning, you'd have managers looking for the fellas that are doing the deer culling to shoot the 2 centre backs in the head. The defending was horrific, let's just say. Yeah. Reminiscent of Jamie Carragher in his early days. It's very early days.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am definitely looking to the 2 friendlies coming up now. Bilbao and Osasuna. We should see a proper shape and proper formation and maybe a bit more gusto in the football with just a week to go, you know.
Yeah, listen, with the way the last season went and how the season previous finished really late, lads not having a break with the Euros and all, I've seen a lot of fans questioning their team's pre-season. If you wanted your team to be going out and playing like high profile pre-season games, busting their lungs after the previous 24 months, you're not a real football fan. I was just more than happy to get Harvey Elliott get more game time with the lads, to get Sadio back in the game like the way we want him to be up in the mind, get Diogo. He's up and running because he's obviously going to start next week because Bobby's back late. Get Robbo a few minutes, but these games, for me, are just getting Joel Matip, Joe Gomez, and Virgil van Dijk back up to speed.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I do have to say, looking at the matches, it's an absolutely beautiful part of the world, isn't it? Like, it's picturesque, isn't it?
I know I'm always harping on about wanting to go to an away game, but if Jurgen, by some chance, comes across this podcast, Jurgen, if you're there next season, please, can you bring the lads there for pre-season again? Because myself and the lads want to go over on a holiday.
Yeah, or if you need 2 lads just to collect the balls at the end of the session and stuff like that, we're always available.
Balls, I polish fucking football boots. I fucking I'll do James Milner and cut the grass with a bleeding ruler and the scissors, mate.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Niall, I forgot to mention in the transfer show. I know this is the Shankly Session and we talk predominantly about Liverpool. I just want to wish Wesley Fofana a speedy recovery. That tackle the other night was absolutely horrific in a pre-season friendly. The season is over before it even began, and it was one of the standout players for Leicester last season, and I'm absolutely gutted for him. Yeah, not just because he was in my fantasy football team, but that looked a nasty leg break, and let's just pray to God that he's back stronger than ever for next season.
Absolutely, definitely a very nasty tackle in a pre-season friendly for sure. LFC Foundation extending TAA, so we got the Trent Alexander football, where he's running a program now for youths, 4 to 6 year olds, to play football, make new friends, and have fun in the process. Again, we can't talk enough about this foundation really and the work that it does. I know at times we give out about FSG and we get frustrated at some of the things that they do and stuff like that, but this stuff and work that they're doing in the community, it's unbelievable, isn't it? They're just encompassing everyone between the LGBTQ community, the work they're doing there, the work with the youths, the outreach programs, the food, the meals, all the stuff that they're doing. Absolutely killing it and doing an outstanding job, aren't they?
Yeah, week in, week out, we seem to be talking about these right off the bat at the start of the podcast. It's absolutely brilliant. Again, one of the reasons that we love going over, like we take in the Hillsborough Foundation memorial and stuff like that, and we just go around taking the whole kind of aura around the ground and all. But I'm looking forward to getting over there because I believe that before every home game, they're going to have we've seen it last time we were over there for the Everton game. They have the stage up with bands playing and all, but they're going to be predominantly promoting the foundation. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to be outside the grounds for stuff like that. Just one thing on that. I'm just wondering if I have a clean shave and get myself my little comb over like I had when I was 4 or 6. Do you reckon I'd be able to take part in that?
They might have to take about 3 or 4 feet off your legs and you might be okay, all right, yeah. You can take part. You can take part in the watching.
It's brilliant though, because you look at the where Melwood was, what Carragher is doing there now, and the foundation they set up with Robbie Fowler and stuff, and the academy for the young lads that have kind of like not got the chance they deserved in football, or they just didn't have enough that they're getting a second chance at it. But like for Trent to be coming out now and doing this, I believe his brothers have got their coaching badges, and obviously you'll have Trent coming down and bringing players down with him and all. It just like to be that age, to be a massive Liverpool fan, especially living in the city where you can see what it means to your mother, your father, your brothers, your sisters, and you want to follow in the footsteps of being a mental like Liverpool fan, to get involved there and just go in every day and see that around you, that's, you just wish there was stuff like that. It's a shame that the League of Ireland is on its knees in Ireland, and that like a lot of young kids have they've no interest in it whatsoever, because you'd love to see something like that going on in their city. But to see that, I just love the fact that every week we talk about the Liverpool Foundation and something extra being added. This is fantastic. That's why we love the club.
And adding on from that, the Osasuna game coming up on Monday, I think it is. Fans under 16 apparently are getting in free.
I think I could definitely pull off the under 16 if I have a clean shave.
If you slice yourself in two, yeah. But this is absolutely brilliant as well. This is Liverpool again, encompassing the whole community with a fantastic opportunity to go in there and experience that Anfield atmosphere and stuff like that against Osasuna. So it should be fantastic.
We talked about this last week with the 1,000 free schoolboy tickets and stuff. Now the atmosphere that'll build, you know what I mean? Because you can't turn around to a schoolboy and tell them you need to stop singing. You know what I mean? They're going to sing to their heart's content. They're looking at Mo Salah, probably won't get to see him again. Probably first time seeing him in the flesh because their parents can't afford tickets. Like for me, this is outstanding from the club. Kids under the age of 16 again. Parents mightn't have the money to bring them to a game. Probably don't even have the money to buy them a shirt now. And to get free entry, might only be a free entry to a pre-season friendly. But how long has it been since we've had 25,000 fans in Anfield? You know what I mean? It's going to be like a cup final for some of these people going in.
Yeah, absolutely. One bit of news that came out this week, following on from last week's episode, where we spoke about the passing of Andrew Devine. The club is updating the badge on the back of the shirt to represent 97, to acknowledge his passing, and obviously the Hillsborough. But they're also updating the memorial as well. So this is fantastic news, isn't it? I mean, it must create some bit of comfort for Andrew's family to know that the club is behind him and that his memory will be enshrined in the memory of the club and the history of the club.
Yeah, you've seen how emotional we got last week, it rightly so as well. They couldn't, not that we'd have held it against the club, but I did say, like, probably over 1 billion times you've heard the slogan, justice for the 96, and at the end of the day, circumstances that happened, it took until now for Andrew to pass away. due to injuries that happened on that day. So rightly so, he deserves his name. Nobody wants to see their name up on that, up on that memorial, but he rightly so deserves his name up there. And as I was saying to Craig yesterday when he got the shirt, I'm just happy that I didn't get my shirt yet. And then I'd imagine that, soon enough, the club stores and online, they'll be bringing out the shirts with the updated slogan. I'm not saying that with happiness, that, I'm going to get the new shirt with the Justice for the 97, but just to have that bit of history, to look back on in years to come, and the first shirt that came out basically in memory of Andrew, because, all of this is being changed for him. And what you said, it's not hard, or it's not easy for his family to say goodbye to him, but at the end of the day, they suffered for over 30 years looking at him in that vegetative state, and I'd imagine that this definitely softens the blow, and it might put a smile on their faces.
Yeah, absolutely. Just one other point I wanted to mention, the Wall of Champions is more or less complete at this stage now over at the Superstore, where fans could buy a tile to sort of enshrine themselves at Anfield and stuff like that. I bought one for myself and Ben, a picture of the twos when we first sat in the cup, first time we visited Anfield together, and it's up there on it. So check out your emails, people. You should be getting your emails through now to show you exactly where your tile is on the memorial, because they're not necessarily big tiles and they will have to be found. Our one is right on Gerrard's wrist. So not a bad location to be, really. But yeah,
he's holding a trophy, may I add, as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's class. It's absolute. Come here, whether you're on Gerrard's wrist or you're on fucking a spot that's on his chin, you can, that'll never be taken away from you. You know what I mean? You have that email, you have the proof of purchase. I'd imagine that when we go over in October for the Brighton game, that's been the first thing that you go to when we're at the ground, and it's amazing. I just hopefully do another one further down the line that I can get me and Lewis up on it, but it's amazing, especially for Ben's 18 now, you know what I mean? Imagine what that's going to mean to him when he sees that there. He's a big child as it is, but I'd imagine when he sees that, it's going to be a very emotional time for him.
Yeah, well, my thinking behind it really was that, when I'm long gone, that when he still goes over and visits with his kids, he'd be able to go over there and say, there's your granddad up there on the wall and stuff with me the first time we went to Anfield together. So I just thought it was kind of a cool thing to leave behind, really, Let's get into some player watch. We don't want to be getting too emotional on these things. Let's get into player watch here.
Not the bollocks.
We obviously heard word last week, Shankly looking for a move. Suddenly has done a U-turn. He must be having a great pre-season or something like that. He's done a U-turn now, comes out and says he's absolutely fired up for the season. Seems to be putting himself about big time in pre-season. Looks fired up with a point to prove this season.
Yeah, I touched on this there a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying that I'd love Shankly to come into the Liverpool squad with the mentality he has when he's with the Switzerland team, because he definitely has the talent. He's not a bad player. He was brought in for a reason. When he did come in, I thought he was exceptional for the first few months, and then we were wondering what was going on behind the scenes. And my thought process was that, he's probably looking at the way the front three have been and how Diogo has came in and hit the ground running and thinking to himself, I don't have a chance here. But I personally believe that Shankly, when he gets motoring and, he's head down, blinkers on, eyes up, that, he can put any attacking player in football, to the test. And look, the way the summer has gone with Liverpool, and, we're not going to be heavily investing. It's more about getting the contract sorted, and it looks like next summer is going to be when the investment happens. We need everybody at the fucking fighting for the cause, you know what I mean? And if he can, we just need an arm put around him and said, look, you're not going to play every week, but look at Jota. He doesn't play every week, but when he comes in, he plays like he's leading the line, like it's a cup final every game. So he needs to have that mentality, and I know he has that in him. Yeah. You know what I mean? So we need everyone fighting for the cause. We need everybody tuned in this summer. Like Shankly coming back, had a great Euros. Minamino coming in, he's going to be given a chance. Oxlade-Chamberlain, hopefully over his injury concerns. Naby Keita, hopefully over his injury concerns. We need good squad players, and we know that these lads have the potential, but Shankly more so than anyone. We've seen at the Euros, he was outstanding, so he needs to bring that into the Premier League for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Former Red Stuart Downey announces his retirement at 37.
Good serving to the game. Won the Carling Cup, that absolutely crazy cup final against Cardiff in Wembley. Yeah, he was hot and cold for Liverpool, but he did have his good moments. He had a great career, a very prolonged career as well. I wish him the best in his retirement. And I read an article on the Liverpool Echo this morning saying that Liverpool should re-sign him as just as a squad player to have him on the bench for a year until we get that investment next summer. But no thanks. But no, all the best in retirement, and he's a good servant for the club.
Yeah, Ibrahim Konate came out this week saying that he's sleeping soundly at night with the intensity of this pre-season at the moment. So these guys must be putting in a serious shift over there in Evian at the moment.
Yeah, I'd imagine that these inside training videos are just what's going on before or afterwards, because I'm sure they're working on a few things. We've heard a few whispers of new formations and stuff like that. But yeah, I do think next week we're going to see a different animal. I can't wait to see this guy in the Premier League. He's an absolute monster.
Yeah, I'd imagine the intensity of a Jurgen Klopp and Pep Linders pre-season must be at a totally different level. Like these lads, I'm sure they put these lads through the ringer, you know.
Big time. He looks like he fucking run for hours anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into transfers.
Or lack of.
Yeah, well, I suppose we have to talk about new contracts as well. Fabinho, of course, signed up to 2025. Great news. Obviously, Trent, we mentioned Trent last week, but Trent signed. He came out this week with an interview saying it's one of his proudest moments is obviously extending his contract and re-signing for the club and stuff like that. So this is what it kind of means to him. Alisson, obviously pivotal, signing a huge contract now, 6 years or whatever it is, really laying down a marker. So it's great to have these contracts getting sorted out, and as you said in the transfer show as well, we still have to sort out Mo and we still have to sort out Virgil, but I don't think they're going to be a problem. And I think once they're sorted out as well, I think it'll be a huge lift for the club to know that we have, as you said, the spine of this club tied down big time for the next 4 to 5 years. You know,
it literally is the spine of the team, because you think it's your, as I said in the transfer show, like it's the best goalkeeper in the world, best centre half in the world, for me, one of the best strikers in the world, who's not even a striker. And then you have Fabinho, who's on a par with N'Golo Kante for me. You know, as we said, like the transfers, we quite frustrating that we haven't brought in, 2 or 3 players. Still may do, but it would have been a different story if we'd been sitting here saying that Real Madrid are looking to sign Mo Salah, and Fabinho has had his head turned, because we know Real Madrid were interested in taking him back there at some stage last season. But I suppose that's the flip side of the coin. If you're not getting the players in, you want to have your best players re-signing new contracts, and for me, I'm excited to get the ball rolling for the season. When you hit the ground running and get a few wins on the spin, we'll all kind of forget that we didn't bring in any massive signings or whatnot. But just the Alisson one just out of the blue as well. We were expecting new deals to be signed, but the way they just been just one after the other, and then we do it. Mo probably before the season starts. Everybody looks super happy this summer. That's the thing, and I talked about it when you watch the End of the Storm documentary and the togetherness, the bond. Andrew Robertson coming back, you've seen the pictures with him with Konate and the robes, and did you see the picture of him on the exercise bike between Matip and Van Dijk and Milner? It's like, hello, can I go for a cycle with you today, big man? And he's like, you got me there. Come here. It's only little small trivial things, but I'm seeing that again this summer. And if we're gonna go and challenge Man City and Chelsea and Man United for top 4 of the league, we need that in the team. And as I said, everyone looks reinvigorated after that break and holidays away and all. So come on.
Milner's great to have around the squad, really, isn't he? Like, he's worth his weight in gold, really, in terms of. I seen a training video there the other day where he was getting out run, where they had to touch the bodies and sprint back, and he was getting out run by one of the lads. I can't remember which lad it was, and he just runs over and nearly rugby tackles him onto the ground, so he makes sure he wins. I just thought it was hilarious, so funny.
Yeah, class. He deserves a job for life. every squad needs someone like that in it. You know what I mean? He's kind of the glue with everybody. No one has a bad word to say about him. So yeah, it's great. You'd love to be a fly on the wall at team meetings and stuff like that.
And his Twitter is great, isn't it? Because he just knows where to be every time he needs to get a photograph. He's always in that right place to get those photographs, isn't it? It's incredible, really.
Barn James Milner.
Reports coming in this week that were favourites to sign Saul Niguez. Interesting. I still think this deal is going to happen because I think there's been a lot of work put into it and stuff like that. I think it's just a timing thing, and I think Liverpool are waiting for the market to kind of contract a little bit so they can drive down. They've obviously offered him a certain level of wage, which is below what he's on. But I don't think as a player he'll want to stay in Atletico this season with what they've done and the business they've done. He's down the pecking order now, really, and you've seen that even last season, So
I was thinking about that, Niall, and like it's hard to believe that he's gone down the pecking order at Atletico Madrid because he's such a good footballer. He's an exceptional talent in the middle of the park. Maybe it's just for purposes of recycling the team, fresh ideas. You know what I mean? Maybe that's all it is. But Atletico do need to get rid of him. They brought in Rodrigo de Paul or whatever his name is, and they brought him in basically to replace Saul, and he has to go. And I think the longer it goes into the window, unless Pogba leaves Man United, the longer it goes in the window, it means his options are less and less and less. And you're hearing that he's not going to sign, and then you're hearing within an hour that Liverpool's are favourites to sign him. There's an offer on the table. This is the one that I'm kind of pinning my hopes on because I've kind of given up on Tielemans and stuff like that. But if we were to get Saul in, it's not crazy money. I do believe he'll take a pay cut. This is the one I'm kind of pinning my hopes on. If we were to get Saul in and maybe one other player, for me, the way the window has gone, it's a good window for Liverpool.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to see Kostas Tsimikas getting the rub from the coach, if you like. A number of clubs have come in asking about him, and he point blankly turned around and said he ain't for sale, he ain't going anywhere. So it's great to get that seal of approval from the gaffer, isn't it?
He's been, as I said, I've not really watched much of the pre-season with work and stuff like that, but he's been one of the standout players in pre-season. With Robbo not being there on the extended break, he's not set anything alight. But he's went out and he's, as you said, he's got the rub off the coach. He's made an example, set a precedent, and I did say that I'd love him to stay and kind of look. Andy Robertson came into Liverpool, didn't hit the ground running. You know what I mean? It does take time when you're coming into a club like Liverpool, like Man City, like Chelsea, like Man United, and I think we're just getting Champions League football now for this coming season. I think that's players like him is going to benefit most, because he is going to get game time now. You know what I mean? There are going to be times where Robbo's going to need to be rested. And I'm just hoping now with the confidence of Klopp putting the arm around him and saying, I don't want you to go, I want you to stay, I want you to be part of what we're building here. It can work one way or another. You can either take it as, the straw that broke the camel's back, as it's too much pressure for you, or else you can take it on the chin and say, this guy wants me here. I'm going to bust me balls to prove a point to everybody. And I'm kind of leaning towards that because he's been really, really good pre-season.
Absolutely. I looked at a number of stories this week at a time where sort of the transfer market is losing its mind at times with 100 millions here and 100 millions there and all that kind of stuff. Number of players that we were linked with this week, starting with Insigne for 25 million, which I think is an absolute steal.
I think we're setting up a GoFundMe page to get that raised so we can sign him. I told you during the Euros, I fucking love him at Liverpool. Yeah. He's like a mixture of Gerrard and Gattuso. He has that elegance and guile, but he's a tough little bastard for someone so small. I don't know how he hasn't signed for someone else at that price.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing me that people aren't picking up on these, Then we were also linked with Marco Asensio, 40 million. Again, probably a little bit on the high side in terms of price, but again, a very, very good player,
Yeah, fits and starts for Real Madrid last year, but he proved over 2 or 3 years at Real Madrid that he can lead the line. Very, very good player, still very, very young, but you have to wonder what's going on. You've got Isco, Asensio, Insigne, like players like that. Like they're 3 names that probably get into 95% of the top teams in Europe.
Yeah,
and they're going for like 40 million nowadays is nothing, Niall. So for those 3 players to be going for next to nothing, like kind of the mind boggles.
Yeah, the one that did perk up my interest was the Isco one for 20 million, which I thought was absolutely fantastic because he's kind of the forgotten child at Real. But he supports that beautiful beard, doesn't he, as well? And he's an exceptional player. Like,
yeah, we missed that Spanish guile, don't we, in the middle of the park for Liverpool? Be nice to sign Saul and Isco, wouldn't it? And then when the boys go off to the African Cup of Nations, you have that bit of Spanish flair in the park. Saul, Thiago, and Isco.
Yeah. Be exciting.
Hold on, I just took this into me bleeding wet waistband there. That's an exciting thought, isn't it?
Absolutely. We spoke on the transfer show. Obviously, Wolves testing the market with a 10 million bid for Origi. I think they'll come back in with an improved bid, or Mike Edwards will work his magic in terms of putting together a payment plan that these boys can tolerate. But certainly Origi has to be much more than 10 million. Without a shadow of a doubt.
Without a shadow of a doubt, if Dominic Solanke is going for over 20 million, like Divock Origi for the cult hero status alone, it has to be more than 10 million. But as I said in the transfer show, a lot of teams that would be interested in signing Divock Origi haven't got 20 million to cough up. So if you're Southampton or if you're Wolves or something like that, and Southampton need to replace Ings, and the 2 boys up front for Wolves, I do believe Fabio Silva will come good, but they haven't got time from hitting the highest that they did in the Premier League to last season, like really dropping off the radar. They need someone to come in. Origi is Premier League proven, and as you said, I wouldn't trust him leading the line for Liverpool, but that doesn't say I wouldn't necessarily trust him leading the line for Wolves. You know what I mean? Playing every week. And the problem with Wolves last year was when Jimenez got injured. Great to see him back, by the way, and Jota leaving as well. Adama Traore just he became a bewildered man. I just think Origi playing off Jimenez, I think that could be very, very good for Wolves, or the same at Southampton. But I hope Mike Edwards, I do believe he'll leave, but I think some sort of payment plan, 12-13 million up front, and then maybe incentives or bonuses next summer. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose we should also mention as well, obviously, that the Monday mashup, our flagship show, is returning this Monday. So the guys are pumped up for this. So we're going to have a great show on Monday where we're going to preview the start of the season. We're going to be mainly talking about the top 6, what we believe the top 6 is going to be, and the kind of business that they've done. So Mark and Darren and all the boys will be returning Monday evening. But we're
Wayne might come out. Wayne might come out to talk about Grealish.
Yeah, Wayne will be back, no doubt about it. But we're also going to be talking about relegation, what our picks for the relegation places will be as well. So certainly going to be an interesting debate on the night, and that will really kick off our coverage then of the season every Monday evening, where we're going to be reviewing all the weekend's action, stuff like that. We also should remind our viewers, and I know you'll get excited about this, but the next episode of the Shankly Sessions, we will have played our first league game. So time to get really excited, time to break out the jerseys, trying to get the show on the road.
Two of us sitting here full kit wankers with the scarves and all right around our heads.
Absolutely.
And just regarding what you're saying there, Niall, as well, if any fans that, once the season starts and, we're doing match reviews and, reactions and stuff like that, we'd love to get fans on, whether you're a friend of the show already or, you're someone who's came across the channel on Twitter or whatever. Anyone that'd love to come on. And I've got friends, Jamie and Dave and stuff like that, and their concern is that they've never done a podcast before, and they wouldn't necessarily be public speakers. But as you see, it's not necessarily just a strict podcast. It's coming on, having a bit of banter. You're throwing out there your concerns in the team or what your positives and stuff like that. We'd love anybody to come on and have a chat regarding Liverpool FC.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone's welcome who'd like to come on. All you do, just contact the show and let us know. You're more than welcome. But yeah, season's about to kick off. Couple of transfers maybe still to be done. Couple of ins, couple of outs. Certainly, it's going
And
to
we're going to
build
be
over the
excited
next
next
week.
Saturday when we're doing this, aren't we?
I'll tell you, it's going to be an absolute ball. With
I
every
wonder
sweat
will
of it.
work let me wear me full kit? We won't only Peter Crouch all day.
Well, to add to that, then you won't be getting in free as a 16-year-old, and you certainly won't be getting into Trends Foundation as a 4 to 6-year-old if that's the case. Well, until
I had the
next time.
mentality of a 4-6-year-old.
Absolutely. Well, until next time. This has been this week's Shankly session. 1 week to go. We've been waiting for this all summer. We've trawled through the Euros as best we can, but now it's game time. Till next time, head over to YouTube, Dynamo Podcast Network, audio versions of the show, Spotify, Podbean, iTunes, wherever you pick up audio version show, you will find us there, the Shankly Sessions, covering all things Liverpool. If you want to contact the show, on Facebook and Instagram, the upper tier, and on Twitter at Sessions Shankly. Get on there. Let us know your thoughts. Are you as pumped for the season as we are? Cannot wait for it to begin. Let's do this.